Hello, this is Dr. Grande. In today's video, I'll be taking a look at the personality trait of extroversion at the facet level. So instead of a general description of extroversion, I'll be going through each of the 6 facets of extroversion and describing what each one refers to. Now, to understand the 5-factor model, it's important to understand that there are different ways to measure it. So the 5 personality traits on the 5-factor model: openness to experience, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. It's easily remembered through the acronym OCEAN. Now, as I mentioned, though, there are different ways to measure these 5 personality traits. One popular instrument is the NEO-PIR, and other instruments are based on what's referred to as the International Personality Item Pool. I'm going to refer to the NEO-PIR as the NEO, and the International Personality Item Pool as International. The facets I'll be going through here for the personality trait of extroversion will be the International, but I'll also give the name of the NEO facet if it's different than the one used for the International. So, as I mentioned, each of the personality traits have 6 facets. When we look at extroversion, we have friendliness, gregariousness, assertiveness, activity level, excitement-seeking, and cheerfulness. So we'll start with friendliness. Now, on the International, friendliness is, of course, the facet name. On the NEO, this facet is referred to as warmth. So if somebody scores high on friendliness, they make friends quickly, they have an easy time forming intimate relationships, close relationships, they want to form close relationships, and they tend to be perceived by others as friendly, which makes sense based on the facet name of friendliness. Friendliness does not relate, however, to the degree to which somebody wants to be in crowds. That's the next facet of extroversion. Friendliness really just deals with intimate relationships, close relationships, and a general desire to create friendships. Somebody who scores low on the friendliness facet of extroversion tends to be viewed as cold or hostile, distant. An individual who scores low on this facet would also tend not to reach out to initiate a friendship. They tend to remain more reserved. The next facet for extroversion is gregariousness. And when we think of extroversion, the way it's used in the popular culture, we're really thinking about gregariousness and perhaps excitement-seeking, those 2 facets of extroversion. Gregariousness really specifically speaks to someone's interest in relating to a number of people at the same time, like at a party or in a crowd. So individuals that are friendly, they are seeking one-on-one relationships or maybe talking to a few people, but really it's that closeness that they're looking for. Someone who's gregarious likes to interact with a lot of people. They like the excitement and the feel of being at a party or a social gathering with a lot of people. They like that stimulation. Now, gregariousness and friendliness, like all the facets of any personality trait, tend to move together. They tend to be correlated. The big 5 personality traits tend to be more statistically independent, meaning if somebody was high on openness to experience, for example, they wouldn't necessarily be high or low on conscientiousness. These personality traits move independently of one another. The facets, though, are correlated, and it's not hard to see why friendliness and gregariousness would tend to move together. But somebody could be exceptionally friendly and not be gregarious. They might not like crowds, but they do like intimate and close relationships. Similarly, somebody could be gregarious and not be friendly. So they would like crowds, they would like parties, but they really wouldn't have a tendency to form close relationships. The next facet is assertiveness, and this is named the same on the NEO as it is on the International. Now, assertiveness is a little unusual in terms of the facets of extroversion in that it's not what we typically think of with someone who's extroverted. Assertiveness is someone who likes to speak out, take charge, and take control of activities in groups. You can see there's some relationship to extroversion in general, but this one seems a little more independent in the way extroversion is understood, again, in the popular culture. Certainly somebody can be introverted and still be extremely assertive. The next facet is similar to assertiveness in that it doesn't necessarily go with the popular conception of extroversion, and that's activity level. It's known as activity on the Neo. And this is a tendency to really like having a fast-paced, action-packed, busy life. Somebody with a high activity level is vigorous, energetic, and really always trying to stay moving. This isn't the same thing as looking for new experiences, but rather more how somebody sets their schedule, how packed they want their schedule to be. Individuals that score low on activity level prefer life at a slower pace. They like to be a little more relaxed. The next facet is excitement seeking, and this facet really aligns with the popular conception of extroversion. Someone that's excitement seeking is easily bored. They look for high levels of stimulation. They like bright lights, loud music. They take chances. They're thrill seeking. And low scores on this excitement seeking facet tend to be overwhelmed by all those same things. They tend to be overwhelmed by a lot of stimulation and tend to avoid it. The last facet of extroversion is cheerfulness. On the Neo, this is referred to as positive emotions. And cheerfulness is really looking at mood and positive feelings. So somebody that's high on cheerfulness has a lot of positive feelings. The absence of cheerfulness, however, doesn't mean that there's negative emotions. It just means that there's no positive emotions. And those are two different things. So individuals who are cheerful have a lot of positive feelings, including happiness, joy, enthusiasm, optimism. Individuals who score low on cheerfulness tend to experience less happiness and less enthusiasm. So as we look at these facets, as we look at the facets of extroversion, it's important to note that even though these, as I mentioned, tend to correlate, they can move independently, of course. You can have a really high score on assertiveness, for example, and low scores on the other facets. It wouldn't be terribly unusual to have a high activity level and still be generally considered introverted. These facets, though, are generally shown to move together. So when we think of extroverted, we generally think of all of these facets being reasonably high. And again, if somebody's introverted, most of these or all these would be reasonably low. I think that one of the reasons that the facet level understanding of the personality traits is so important is because you can have a facet with a low score and another facet with a high score. So if you only look at the extroversion score and say it's near the middle, 45 percentile or 55 percentile, something toward the middle of the bell curve, that gives you some information. But once you know all of the facets, you can really tell what is going on with that person, what behaviors and feelings you might expect in more detail, because you would see what facets they score high in, what facets they score low in, and which ones are more toward the middle. It gives you a better understanding of the overall concept of extroversion for that person, the overall expression for that individual. I hope you found this description of the facets of extroversion to be interesting. Thanks for watching.